My name is Earl Craighill, and I'm here to talk a little bit about some of the activities that we.
Do you want to talk to me?
Oh, talk to
Okay,
you.
that's right. Yeah.
If I don't fall over. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the activities that we were doing in the period about 1974 to I think actually through 82 and a little further on probably.
Is it too windy? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
We turned him around a little bit, so he's
Okay.
actually, why don't you turn towards the camera a little bit more?
You want him?
This, okay.
Yeah.
I do want. Okay.
Yeah, good.
But
Come in a little bit more towards.
Come a little more. Okay. If I'm too.
Someone targeted when trying to-
Yeah. I know. That's right.
Do you want to start over?
Yeah, we'll start over. So we're talking with Earl Craighill and in Palo Alto at the 40th anniversary of TCPIP. So go ahead.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about our activities during the period of around 1974 through 82, and maybe a little further on. Actually, we were working with a group called the Network Speech Compression initially, and what we did is generate a lot of speech data, compressed speech, and we wanted to use the networks to transmit the speech over. So this was probably the beginnings of things that might today be called voice over IP, but we were doing this in the 70s and the late 70s, and initially we were doing a lot of these tests together with Danny Cohen and at ISI and some other people, Lincoln Laboratories, Cliff Weinstein's group there, and basically we were trying to test the network, the original ARPANET, to see how it handles real-time speech traffic, in addition to the usual traffic that was Telnet and FTP type things was being used. And we found that there needed to be, we kind of pushed on making some changes to the original TCP application in order to handle real-time speech. And as a result of that, I believe, and you can talk to Danny Cohen about this a little later, that they split TCP into TCP and IP, and splitting out IP was necessary for us because of the real-time nature of our speech. We did a lot of these tests early in the 70s and so, and then the Packet Radio project, which was at SRI, introduced a new kind of network and radios in addition to that could move around. And so we did a number of speech experiments over the Packet Radio net through gateways to various parts of the internet. We actually had a satellite link back to Lincoln Laboratories at one point, and we did some actual transmissions over satellites over the Atlantic. There were a lot lower bandwidth, but all those were basically experiments to find out how well this new kind of transmission would work with real-time traffic, and as I said, led to things like we use today, like voice over IP and a lot of the video conferencing work we were starting into and doing too. One unique thing that I think that we did in conjunction with this was being able to take some of the real-time traffic, and we had on the Packet Radio program, we had a large van. We called it a bread van, and it was a big truck, and we drove that and put some of our speech compression units in that, and actually transmitted speech mobile from driving down the Bayshore Freeway and going through a number of different packet radios and watching how it moved from one packet radio to another as we moved coverage. And so we were experimenting with doing mobile speech.
What were you surprised about? That the fidelity was as good as you thought it was? The reception was as good as it was? What surprised you, and what didn't work?
Well, the main thing we learned very early on was that a major problem with real time traffic of any kind is delays, and TCP itself basically wants a lot of reliability in exchange for delays, and what we were found out was the trade-off for real-time speech is you could give up a little bit of reliability, you could miss some packets, and speech wouldn't be as affected as bad as it would be as if you had a lot of delay. As we're talking right now, there's very little delay. If we're talking over a satellite link, it'd be, well, it could be a quarter of a second, it could be a lot. And the bigger it gets, the more difficult it is to have a speech conversation. And so we were just trying to experiment and find out what the parameters were to minimize delays. And when we went over different kinds of networks, I mean, the packet radio net was extremely variable delay. The ARPANET was a little fixed, but satellite net was fixed, but a large number. And so there was a lot of work that was done by a lot of other contractors to try to find ways to minimize that delay. And so, we, just in my humble opinion, we tried to make the networks operate as best they could for the real-time traffic.
Tell me, did you realize how significant an event that was to be working on speech and speech compression and packetized data at the time? Did you have an inkling that this was something huge?
Well, to be honest, it was I'm an engineer, and I think I've talked to a few others, and I think we were lucky to be here at that particular point in time because there's a lot of things that were being done, and it was an engineering problem. It was a pretty much of a challenge, and it hadn't been worked on before. But I don't, how big the internet would grow and all that just didn't occur to us at that time, and we were just trying to solve a problem. And there was a number of people, Vince Cerf and Bob Kahn that were and they were saying that this is a new kind of network and we ought to try doing it. And so we said, well, let's just see how it works. So,
are you gratified today about your contribution? And if you look back, what do you think of the internet today? And how can we teach young kids about how significant an event this was?
Well, that's a good question because I mean. I talked to a number of kids, and one of my other activities right now is trying to interact with kids and just to teach them what, and a lot of times with all the they're teaching me how to use this program, that program, and it's a lot. Well, it doesn't do what I want it to do. Why doesn't it? Well, you didn't do this right. You didn't do this right. Come on, you old fogey. And so I learned an awful lot from young kids, and I think the fact that the history, I think there's a lesson in there, but sometimes they want to listen to it. So what can I say?
That's great. So if you could describe the TCP/IP specification from the 70s in one phrase. How would you describe it? Tell me the TCP/IP specification meant this to me, or did this, or.
Well, that's.
It's a hard question.
It's a little difficult to be back in that place. As part, let me say, as part of my activities at SRI, I also went around to a lot of the telephone companies, and that was the traditional communication network at that time. And TCP was a way to do some things over a different kind of network, and that was a challenge to us, and was just the difference between the traditional telecommunication system at that time and what was being proposed. I mean, the telephone companies had figured out, obviously, a long time ago how to do voice, and it was very dedicated systems, very dedicated lines, and things like that. TCP allowed the use of a variety of different kinds of networks, different characteristics, and so as I say, it was a challenge, and we.
Who are you looking forward to seeing here today? 40 years. Tell me, after 40 years, I'm looking forward to seeing. Tell me that statement.
Well, actually there's a couple a person Danny Cohen that's here that I didn't even know was going to be here. I haven't seen him, and I wanted to say hello to him. So, and I haven't seen Vince Cerf for a long time, and I just. Everybody that's here is, it's sort of like old acquaintance. Well, do I look old? I'm not. I mean, but 40 years old people that I just haven't seen for quite a while.
That's fantastic. Well, we'd like to thank you for sharing your contribution and your statements today, and for being here today. It's an important event for us. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
Great.
All right.
You get it?